I'll give it a few minutes before I blab too much. I'm sure people will probably watch the whatever, but yeah, here we are. We're live. I'm watching this little ticker. This is cool. Even tells me how much money I get as if I get any. That's cute.
That's so cool.
That's really neat.
Noelle's
Okay.
professional now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm an influencer now, Alyssa. It's so cool. So cool. Actually, the thumbnail for this, I don't know if you can see it because it's mobile, but when it goes live, like when it uploads, I saw for some reason in my Canva, there's an old picture of me and you from like probably 8 years ago. And I was like, "Boop, I'm gonna put it there because that's our most recent in-person picture."
Yes.
So it is on the thumbnail, but yeah,
I
shows that
love
we go way
that.
back. So I will go ahead just in case and introduce you. So everyone, not Reptile's father here. This is my friend Alyssa. We have been friends since forever, since high school, and since we're old, that means it's been a long time. Um, and today we're going to, in real time, talk about a tough subject that is important to both of us, which is religious trauma. So, welcome, Alyssa, back to the channel. We streamed together. It was around it was before Halloween, I think, telling spooky stories on Alyssa's channel. So today I have her as a guest on mine. I'm very excited.
I know, I'm always excited to be here with
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
then every time I talked about I was like, "Me and Noelle are gonna talk about religious trauma." I was like, "But don't you worry, we will also be giggling and having a good time while we talk
Dude,
about it."
the
Crazy enough.
description that I wrote literally says that pretty much. It's like, we're going to be talking about a tough, deep subject, but we will also be cackling in the middle of it
Yeah,
somehow
ignore us
because that's how we
laughing.
cope.
I started to
Yeah.
say that is our coping mechanism. We try
Yes.
to make it light and funny because that's how we
Yes.
deal with it.
Yes. You have to. And there are honestly endless joke opportunities when it comes to religious trauma. So,
Yeah.
can't miss a good joke
Oh, yeah.
opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Blade of Sun is here, and Dylan, our mutual friend. What's up? What's
Hey.
up, bro? G Town gang hanging out here. Love it. Um, Blade of Sun, thank you for taking a break from your creative endeavors to hop on and watch us talk about religious trauma. We are 100% doing this a little unscripted, so I figured I would just kind of start and give an overview for anybody that's new. Some people have probably already heard some of this, but I want to give an overview of like my upbringing with religion and also start with a disclaimer that like I'm not here to like attack religious beliefs. In fact, I still consider myself spiritual. I don't really know, I don't have a label. I don't, whatever, but I do think it can be approached in a healthy manner. I'm not one of those people that's going to say, oh, every single version of it has to be a cult or whatever. So if anybody here has spiritual or religious beliefs, we're doing this in a respectful way. I just think it's important to talk about the toxicity in religion because there's such a stigma around like speaking out about problematic things in religion. People almost make you feel like you are a problem or you're attacking, faith or whatever if you speak out. So that was a really big preface, but I'll just dive into like a little bit about my upbringing. So um, my parents are actually super chill, so I am blessed to not have a situation where it's like it was my immediate family's fault necessarily that I have religious trauma. It's just that, like, Alyssa, you know this, like in our area, everybody just, you're almost
Oh,
weird
yeah.
if you don't go to church, right? Like, it's just the
Yeah.
norm. Everybody does it. And so, my parents raised me in church. They also sent me to a Christian private school until I was older, which I ended up being homeschooled at that point um, with a Christian curriculum. But like my parents weren't strict. It's just a really odd situation for me. So in my case, it was really like I internalized a lot of the stuff I was exposed to more than it was being like directly forced upon me.
Yeah.
I think being raised in like a hellfire brimstone church when you're a sensitive child is really hard because for me it was like I I heard these messages of like, you're dirty, you're terrible. The only reason that you're like decent is because of Jesus's love, but inherently you're wrong and gross and bad. Like, I took that very, very, very seriously. So Um, that kind of for me manifested into a lot of like fanatical beliefs. I kind of took I took that and like kind of projected it onto other people. I was really judgmental of other people. I was like, "Oh, you are I don't know, like you're listening to I'm not even kidding, this is an example, Blade of Sun, I talked about it in his video, of religious trauma. I told Johnny that he was bad for listening to "Low" by Flo Rida, and not
How
only did I
dare
tell him he
you.
was bad for it, Alyssa, I wrote him an essay. Like, I stapled pages together, typed out messages about what the fuck, Muskie Husker, why are you telling me I'm shut up. Do you know who this person is? Because if not, I'm gonna put him in timeout.
I don't think yeah, I don't know.
Alright, get out of
Usually, I
here.
bring in trolls, so, like, I'm sorry, I'm a troll
No,
attract.
you're good. You're good. I just I'm getting craziness. Okay, anyway,
Oh,
this
Lord.
one too, this one also, let's see. No, do not put this person as a moderator. Get out of here, butthole. Anyway, um, I'm gonna ignore that for now. But, yeah, I was, like, fanatical, like, crazy fanatical about this. So,
Yeah,
I think it, like, if I for some reason, he still loved me and was kind to me, God bless him. Um, but I was very, like I feel like it, like, strained relationships and how I viewed other people because I was on such a high horse because I felt like I had to keep, like, everybody around me in check to keep
yeah,
myself in check. It was just, like, this
yeah,
weirdness. So, anyway, um, I eventually, as I got older, like, learned that the fanatical part of it is not what it's supposed to be, and, um, I kind of went with a more progressive Christianity there for a little bit, and then I just kinda got to the point where I didn't know what to think, about anything.
yeah.
So, thank you, Blade of Sun, for moderating the weirdness that's going on here.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thankfully, my mod is
Your
here.
name was more.
Um, yeah, like, it's so funny, like, you can post a video about this, by the way, and, like, nothing, but if it's alive, it's like all the
Yeah,
trolls come out with their little
yeah.
butts showing. But anyway, so that's kind of like an overview of my situation with it. Like I said, it was like I very much cared and like really worried about what other people thought of me,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And like authority figures, like I was always very like I hated the thought of disappointing anybody. And I think that
yeah,
that's why religious trauma really hit me hard because it was like I just never felt good enough for anything. Because the way that the church taught of like God sees everything and no matter what you do, you're never actually good enough. They didn't really focus on like the grace part of it as
yeah,
much, or like, oh, like whatever. It was definitely a lot of like guilt and shame.
yeah.
So that's yeah, that's kind of I just constantly see nothing but like people getting hidden in the chat. But anyway, let's ignore that because it's a distraction. So tell me about your experiences, upbringing, and then we can just kind of like have conversation. Why is
Yeah.
somebody saying the N word? I cannot
Listen,
stand people.
I'm telling you, and on TikTok, my favorite situation, like people come in and just say the craziest slurs, and I
It's
just got so
wild.
used to it, and I'm just like, let me mute them, and I'm like casually doing it, and people are like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I guess I didn't react crazily enough to that, but I was
Oh
just like, hold
my
on, guys, and
god. Yeah,
they're
I'll
like,
get
what?
used to it
And I was
eventually.
like,
Like
my bad, that
in
happens all the time.
in feed live streams are not like that. I mean, they used to be back in the day, but like now it's like I rarely get a it's so surprising if I get a troll, like, I'm shocked by it in feed,
Me,
and then
I'm
you
like,
do a
hey,
mobile live stream, and it's like, everybody with their little thumbs, they can just go bloop. Anyway,
you bring a
um,
listen, you bring chaos in. That's how it rolls. So I grew up always sick in the church. So like that's all I knew. And that's a
yeah,
very unique, fun experience because I was always labeled like, oh, the little sick girl. So I was like
yeah,
born with this skin disease, and then like throughout my whole life, I've just developed fun new diseases and different things
Additions.
that go wrong. Yeah. New little
Yeah.
additions. Yeah. Like new little add ons there. And so I grew up like, I was always a smart ass growing up. So, like, not shocked, right? But my family, I would always like question the hypocritical part, even from like a really young age. So, like, for me, it was like I felt shameful because I was like, maybe the reason I'm not getting these healings is because I'm questioning it. And it was like elementary school level that I was thinking these weird things that I'm like, that's probably not normal. Like looking back, I'm like, oh wow, I was pretty young going through all these like really heavy
Yeah.
emotions and thought processes that I like no one else my age was really dealing with. And then like the adults in my life were just like, girl, I don't know, have faith. Like have the faith of a
Yeah.
mustard seed. It'll all be fine. So I was like, okay, I guess like, gotta go with this. And so like I dealt with like a lot of depression and like you said, like just kind of like you project a lot and like I had a different way of projecting. I feel like I was just like um probably like envious and like jealous of everyone who didn't have all these health problems on top of like hearing
Yeah.
like, oh, you'll get your healing one day and like never receiving it, constantly
For
just being
sure.
like disappointed, and then also like feeling like I was a disappointment as well. And like I still kind of like have to really work through that. Like anytime somebody's like, you'll get your healing, you'll still get it, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel almost guilty that I haven't like come up with this like crazy miracle for these people still. But
To make
like,
them comfortable. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
at the age of 29, I'm like, okay, I've experienced that from such a young age. And so now I'm kind of used to it and I kind of have to like talk to myself and be like, hey, like, you're feeling this because of that. And I kind of know how to work through these
Yeah.
issues now. But like
Yeah.
I see a lot of people our age for the first time going through traumatic things, and they also are in
Yeah.
church, and like I've
Yeah.
watched a lot of people be like, I thought of you when I struggle with my faith. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy, and I'm like, I feel like I relate to a lot of people, but it was like going at it from such a young age. Now I just handle it like very differently. And so like even like in
Yeah.
high school, we both went through a phase, I'm sure, where we were just like, fuck it. Like fuck all
Yeah.
these people that, and I
Yeah.
almost feel like you have to detach from that. So,
Yeah.
after questioning, after, realizing like I don't even want to be any part of this, now I can kind of talk about it without really getting super emotional or like having really
Yeah.
strong like how dare you say that. Now it's kind of more like I support people, especially the Christians who are kind and do not
Yeah.
like make me feel a
Yes.
certain way. It's just, yeah, so like
Yeah.
there's levels of crazy, there's levels to it, and then like it was a
Yeah.
huge healing journey for me
Yes.
and it still is, like
Yeah.
times I get triggered over something and I'm like, "Whoa, I didn't know that was still there." But,
Yeah.
um,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You
So that
really
was
like hit on something with that because I feel like I love to talk about this and really think about it because, you know, sometimes you go from one extreme to the other, right? So the churches and the mindset of like Christianity in our area at least generally is pretty on the more extreme side, I feel like. And it's really hard to not go the opposite extreme because when I first like really realized that like a lot of the people I like was trying to impress or had problems with or whatever, it's like there was like you said, there was so much hypocrisy that I got angry and just started
yeah,
to like hate them. And
yeah.
I really had to work through like, okay, I can't label everybody as like somebody pointed out their hair is Christmas colors, which we just talked about before the thing. And I think that's so funny. I know we're
That was our
celebrating early. We're celebrating early. Um, but yeah, so like I really like I'm like, "Man, I'm stereotyping in the opposite way now. I'm being just as bad as I was when I was a high horse, judgmental, extreme Christian as
Yeah.
like now." And like I never was an atheist or anything because honestly, I have had too many spiritual experiences to not believe in something. I'm not even saying that I have a label for what it is,
Yeah.
but like I do believe in something. I just
Yeah.
don't know what the label for that is at the moment. But like, so I was never like atheist, but I was still so angry at
Yeah.
religion and that
Yeah.
like just that toxicity. And I right now even I struggle to not see it as black and white.
Yeah.
Like I because like there's times like there's actually a really cool church like 30 minutes from here that has an associate pastor that is like part of the gay community and like
Yeah.
they're like a very progressive church and I'm like I feel like that would be so healing for my inner teen and my inner child to go even though I don't even identify with that anymore.
Yeah.
um but like at the same time I'm so scared of that being like me relapsing into the cultish part. I know it sounds so crazy because I know
No,
like
I
a
get
good
it
chunk
though.
of
Like
these people aren't in a cult and it's normal and
yeah.
it's okay, like it's healthy. I've met a lot of people and have good friends who identify as Christians that aren't like that, but where I
Yeah.
was like that, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know, it's tough. It's really
Yeah.
tough.
And
Um,
again, like you said, it could be healing, but then like you never know what it's gonna bring up as well, like the
yeah.
anger and just like yeah, so you're just like, "Oh, do I put myself in that position again or
Yes. Yeah, I'm like
do I
afraid it's
just"
gonna like trigger something or I'm like, what if this isn't
yeah,
what it looks like it is? What if it is just as bad as
yeah,
the others? And
and that's a part of the
yeah,
trauma because
yeah,
we've experienced that before where we thought we were safe in a place and then we slowly
yeah,
realize like, "Oh, shit, this is not
yeah,
where we're supposed to be at all."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and then like I wanna know know because I do have a question. I'm gonna interview you on your own page.
Oh my god, I love
But
it. Yes, Q&A time, let's do
so
it.
with coming out and stuff, like how did religion affect you in that aspect?
That is a great question, Melissa. I feel like I'm on a radio show, actually, since you asked. Um, okay, yeah, no, that's really good because it's funny because it's not even it is a big issue, but it's not the biggest issue, and sometimes that surprises me. Like, it's not the biggest thing I deal with, which is really weird to me.
Yeah,
Personally, I never felt guilt or shame
yeah,
for having crushes on, I will say girls because I was a kid.
yeah,
Um, growing up, like I it just felt normal to me. And I didn't even know it was like wrong until I had said something about like everybody was talking about their crushes and I mentioned like a girl and my boy cousin was like, you're a girl, you have to pick a boy. Like it's a like it's almost like a you can't have this flavor, you have to have, green apple instead of blueberry. I'm like, oh my God, wow. So that's when I started like keeping it to myself, but I still didn't feel like guilt or shame. I was just like, this is
yeah,
just like it just is. Like I
yeah,
was one of those people that knew from a very young age. Like I was
yeah,
literally in like kindergarten the first time I like recognized it. So um it, it's complicated in that way. But by the time I got to the age of like hitting puberty and when people start talking about like this way more in depth than what you hear when you're a child or can even understand when you're a child,
yeah,
it did start to weigh on me at that age because I was like, crap. I tried to date a boy. I was sick every day when I did. I thought
yeah,
that's what everybody around me would have wanted. So I tried to force myself to be like what I thought people wanted me to be.
yeah,
Um, and then finally, I lost so much weight, got so sick, and my mental health got so bad that I had to tell my parents like what was actually going on. So I
yeah,
came out to my mom by like having a mental breakdown essentially. Like I was bawling, crying. I was like so scared that they were gonna like kick me out or like all those crazy things
oh,
you hear, you
yeah,
know what I mean? And when I told my mom, she was like, I'm so sorry for anything I ever did that would make you think I would feel any differently about you. Like this,
oh,
and it was like really emotional. And like I still get emotional hearing that or saying that. And then my dad was like, I saw that coming. I'm like, wow, okay. That was it. That was it. He's like, yeah, I saw that coming. My dad's like
oh my
always been
god,
very he really does not like politics being in church and the
Yeah.
conservative, like, bull crap, which
Yeah.
is rare in this area for a, like,
Yeah.
hardworking, labor, like,
Yeah. And
masculine man to feel that
my
way. It's
dad is
yeah.
thankfully the same way. So yeah,
Oh,
like I'm
thank
like,
God.
God
See,
bless.
we
Yeah.
never talked about that, but I'm so glad, and
Yeah.
I can totally see that now that you say that. I
Yeah.
love that. But yeah, so we're like very definitely blessed in that aspect.
Yeah.
So it did affect a lot, but it was for me, it was like once my parents knew and still
Yeah.
loved me and supported me,
Yeah.
um, it was like, okay, like this is it took
You're like,
the biggest weight off because I'm like, okay,
yeah.
if anybody else like treats me different or decides they don't like me anymore, then like, you know? So so yeah, I did have reactions from other people, that weren't good.
Yeah.
There was, um a family friend that made a big deal about it and still interrupts my life occasionally. Last year, she popped up with a hateful message, like, you know, but
Mhm.
the way I view that now versus the first time she did it is just so different. When it
Yeah.
first
Right.
happened, it really affected me. Like I was just so upset. I was fighting mad. I was like, I
Yeah.
wanted to stoop to her level. And I was probably like 19 when that happened, maybe.
Yeah.
Now I'm 30. I would have been 29 when that happened last year, and, I was so much calmer than I expected to be, and I honestly was like, like, "You can feel that way, and that's
Yeah.
fine, but I'm not going to slander you or act like you're acting toward me,"
Yeah.
whatever, and, it is what it is, it sucks,
Yeah.
but a lot of times the people that throw the stones can't even look in the mirror. That's the thing
Mm.
that I've noticed
They're
is
projecting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people that want to criticize me and judge me and talk about me, they have so many issues of their own and sins, if you will, if that's what they believe that these things are,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they're not addressing. And it's like, maybe take your turn, take your
Yeah.
time, um, and, you know, stop pointing fingers. Like, what does the Bible say? Get the plank out of your own eye.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So that is an excellent question. It did cause a lot of distress in my, like, late teen years, early and late teen years. By the
Yeah.
time I was in my 20s, I think I was getting better with that aspect of it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a big piece because I think you knew me back
Yeah.
then, or you knew of me back then, and
Yeah.
a lot of people that knew me in person know I was very serious about my relationship with Jesus at the time and my religion.
Yeah.
So that conflict of like, I'm this thing and I've known it since I was a kid, but I'm also this thing and it's important to me. And those
Yeah.
people telling me those things can't mix together really messed with me a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, here we are.
'Cause I always
Finally,
respected how sorry, I always
oh
respected
yeah, you're good.
how you were open about it, and then also, yeah, like, you were confident about your religion too. Because you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really respected it even though, like, everything changes and stuff, but, like,
yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Get it, girl." Like
No, I appreciate that, and I
yeah.
hope that for so many people because I think it's great if you can maintain both
Yeah.
identities. It's
Yeah.
hard, but I think it's great, and I think that there are support systems out there, and there are a handful, but there are churches out there that can help you follow that path if you need to, want to.
Yeah.
I do think it's out there, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's
Yeah.
great when people can do that, and I'm happy to have been able to do it when I did. I
Yeah.
I almost feel like now it's not so much even I don't necessarily feel like I lost anything by not still maintaining that label. I almost feel like I've gained something by not having the label because I feel like I don't feel like I've lost the spirit part of it. Like I still feel very attached to that. And that's what's always been there through all the labels, all the human rules, all of the things that all the doctrines, all the things that people made up. The spiritual connection has never left.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't feel like I don't know. I feel like I have that piece in me, which helps.
Yeah.
Now, the inner child stuff, we could get into that forever. There's pieces of me, younger parts of me that are like,
Oh, yeah.
you need this label and you need to go to church now. And it's like, I'm like, where did you come from? I'm literally just eating dinner. Like, screw off.
Girl, chill.
Yeah, like chill a bit. But
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on with the, Noelle fangirl club, like, that I'm having right now. So,
I
I
love
I
it.
just wanna say one more thing because at your wedding, I
Yeah.
I never get emotional at weddings, Noelle. I and at your wedding, when your parents both, like, walked you all
Oh,
down the
man.
aisle, I was like,
I'm gonna
I
start crying
so
now just because you
emotional
mentioned it.
be
Oh,
and I was like, I think it was because you guys had, like, support in that area. Like, I
yeah.
genuinely think I was just like, "Oh my god." Like, I
Yeah.
love that your parents have always supported you and, like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I was just like, "Oh my god." Like,
No, it
I'm
felt like I
so
didn't
happy.
realize I appreciate that so much, that's so sweet, and honestly, like, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was at the time that, like, that was happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, there are other couples around here that have got married, haha," but, like,
yeah.
not a lot, and not in our
No,
generation or group, not publicly, you know?
yeah,
So, like, I don't
yeah.
know, I even had people like, a handful of people that are also, like, gay or whatever come up to me later and be like, I've been watching you for 10 years now, and you're the reason I've, been able to come to terms with things, or part of the reason, or you've inspired me. And I'm like, bro, I don't even like, half the shit I've said on Facebook. I'm sorry for 90% of it because I used to get real upset and get on there. Um, so it's
Noelle, the
crazy. It is
icon. She
crazy.
doesn't even
Yeah,
know.
secretly,
No.
secretly. Yeah, I know. It is crazy, but no, I really do appreciate that. I having them both walk me down was really important to me. Like, because, okay, even if I, God forbid, were straight, I personally, personally, don't like the idea of it just being my dad walking me down the aisle. Like, I don't feel like my dad owns me and is giving me to somebody. I want it to be my
Yeah,
parents supporting me. It's not like
yeah,
I'm no ownership is being transferred, and it sounds so basic to say
yeah,
that,
but
and like stereotypical liberal thing for me to say of like I'm not owned in tradition. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it the traditional way, but for
yeah,
me it was like I don't know, just it felt nice. Like I see
yeah,
my parents both have their own roles, not just my dad. So
yeah,
it was really cool. And I like when people do stuff like that. I think it's nice.
yeah.
Um,
What
Gay,
made me
straight, whatever.
emotional.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to get emotional at weddings.
That is like a big honor, honestly. I'm gonna tell Shayna that too, because that's
Yeah,
that's so
please.
sweet. I love that.
Yeah, I was like,
I
I
love
don't know if
that.
I've ever told you that, but I was like, I need to. I need to, like,
I'm
let you
glad.
know.
I'm glad. This is the perfect time. It's the perfect time.
Yeah.
Um, Dylan, I have a question for you too. I'm gonna read what Dylan said real quick because everything else is just blocked messages. um, but
Oh my god. The disabled and the gay get
yeah,
on it and
yeah.
people can't
I
deal
can
with it.
definitely I can
Oh
definitely
my
give more
god.
backstory, Dylan, eventually to How I Met Shayna, but it's really video game nerd stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's pretty much how that started. Um, yeah. But yeah, so Alyssa, I had a question for you that I thought of earlier based on something you said. And my question for you that I don't know the answer to, because you know
Okay.
me, I was very deep into it and believed with the church stuff. Did you ever feel like you believed in it to the extent of like, did you ever feel like you had a relationship with God or Jesus, or did you ever have hope in like all these stories people were telling you of like, oh, maybe I really will get healed, or did you just know it was bullshit and like you had to deal with them, or like what was the turning point for you and how did you experience that?
That's what's, like, insane to me because I remember being, like, so young, like, probably, like, 6, 7 like, I remember a lot of, like, being young, but, I remember, like, even at that age, I was just like, "God, you suck, dude." Like, I was, like, mad from the start. I don't know what was I was
Yeah.
like, I had some sort of issue. I don't know where it came from. But, like, I remember, like, having those moments and then, like, feeling like that's why I was sick. And, like,
Ah, yeah.
so it was, like, very yeah, I was just like, "Oh, well, that's why I'm sick because I hate him most of the time."
Yeah.
Like, I will straight up have a conversation with him, but I'm like, "Screw you, dude," like, and I'm like, I'm like, I don't know how or where I learned that, but like, I was just so mad all the time. And like, I
Yeah.
still, you can ask Dylan, he's seen it. I still struggle with like just getting so angry at like different things. But like, for the longest time, yeah, it was just like, I would kinda go back and forth, and I would be emotional and want to, like and that was what was so hard is, like, I wanted to believe, and it
Yeah,
was like, I couldn't, and it was just, like,
yeah,
something in me that was just like, I can't, like, I cannot believe in what you're feeding me, and so, like,
yeah,
one of the hardest moments and I think that's why, like, my heart surgery took such a big toll on me is because, like, I was praying to die, and I was like, "If there's a God," and I'm like, "If you're here, let me freaking die." And then I got baptized. I literally was like, "I'm gonna do everything I can. I'll try to go to heaven. We're gonna
yeah,
let you, like, see" I'm like, "I'll put this in your hands. Please just, like, kill me." And so, like, my mom even knows, like, I woke up from that heart surgery and I was just like I was, like, dead inside, no pun intended, but, I was just like, "Why am
yeah,
I still here?" And so, like, that was really such a hard time because I was just like, "Wow," like, I couldn't even have that, but then, like,
yeah,
the spiritual aspect, that's when it kind of almost, like, just died out for me, and I was just like, "Fuck it," like, let's just roll with whatever happens. I kinda got reckless and stuff, and then
yeah,
I had 0 faith, 0 hope, and then I finally, like, kinda got comfortable back in, like, spirituality, and honestly, like, crazy enough, like I said I've always said, like, with Johnny, with that song, like, I woke up and just wrote it, and I was like I was just like, "I don't even really, like, think I believe in, like, God in heaven now," and I'm just like, these words are coming to me, and I'm just like, I feel like a hypocrite. I feel like I don't know, it was just like all these
yeah,
emotions that I was feeling. I was like, is this real? Is this coming from me? Is this coming from like what I'm supposed to do with my life? Like I was just
yeah,
really always confused about like where I stood. And so then
yeah,
I finally was like you and I was like, okay, I'm spiritual but I don't believe in what everybody else believes in. I don't believe in like what they're preaching, like I just
yeah,
got to the point where I was like, okay, like it's me and God, nobody else. Like me and whatever
yeah,
higher being it is, nobody else. And then like this journey is for me and
yeah,
accepting that like people would be like, "Oh, you're going to get a healing." That was like the biggest thing for me. It was just like I was like, "Okay, but, like, some people suffer their whole
yeah,
lives,"
for
and I'm
yeah.
like, you see all
So
these
why yeah,
yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
"Why do you think I'm gonna get that?" Like, I
yeah,
can't base my entire life around waiting on this.
yeah,
So, I just kind of had to, like, step away and, like even to this day, sometimes when people are just like, "You're gonna get a miracle," I'm like, "No, but it's okay." Like, I have to
yeah,
reassure other people of it, and it's just like
yeah, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that comes from, like, certain belief systems and denominations under the umbrella of Christianity. I don't
mhm,
know what the healing thing is, but it is very it's complicated because to me, if they have so much faith in it that it's misleading for people, especially people that are experiencing whatever condition it is that they
yeah.
have, because it's like I don't know why, like you said, why it's almost problematic. It is problematic to believe that God's going to pick and choose who gets healed and who doesn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there are people who have so much faith in that and don't get it, and there are people that end up getting recovery or like weird stuff that didn't
yeah,
even like expect it, right? Like I
yeah.
don't and I've heard in there's a podcast I listen to, it's called Healed Ish. It's by a woman named Jubilee Dawn. It's really good. But she was in a very culty sector of religion and they had the healing thing so much so that there was this is really sad and like just like before I get there straight up it's like sensitive content warning but like there was a child who had passed away and the church was like, "Oh, we're going to bring her back from the dead." And they did they tried. They legitimately tried for
Yeah,
like days. And
yeah,
that's just so sad for the parents because
yeah.
grieving people are in an emotional state and a
Mhm.
vulnerable state anyway, so I would never blame them for like wanting to believe
Yeah,
that. Um but Yeah, it's like that stuff
Yeah,
is like when it gets really bad, not when it gets really bad, but there's like so many like culty spin-offs that have happened
yeah,
from it, and I don't think it was intended to be what it's turned
yeah,
into in certain
yeah,
ways. But that's why it's so important to like acknowledge religious trauma is real. People can talk about it without it being like we're bashing Christianity as a whole.
yeah,
Like, no, like we need to talk about this stuff. There are youth pastors who abuse children. Like, there's a lot of stuff that gets covered up that's not okay, and people should be able to tell those stories without it being like you're bashing God. Like, no, that's
yeah,
not what's happening because
yeah,
this isn't God. This is not what
yeah,
God is. This is
yeah,
garbage. You know what I mean? Like, if you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
yeah.
That's crazy
And
to me. But
what's hard is like when I talk about it, I know like people get offended in my family and like, people from my church and stuff. And they're like, well, we didn't mean anything bad by it. And it's like, I'm very aware of that. Like
yeah,
I understand your intentions were not to make me feel guilty that I wasn't coming up with some miracle. Like I totally get that like a lot of the intention was just good.
yeah,
But it's like, okay, I as a like child was hearing these batshit crazy things that you,
yeah,
an adult, were saying. It's
yeah,
like, hey, that's when it's like, it's not, it's not, um, I was
yeah,
gonna say not nice. I can't think of the word, but like, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just, it's crazy that they don't think of that. Cause then, like, with my little cousin Riley, I'm like, holy shit, like the things that were said to me, I would never look
yeah.
at her and say at her
No,
age. And it's just like,
no,
what?
no.
So I think I had like a different experience. And if I wasn't sick, I genuinely am like, would I still be in the church? Would I
Yeah,
still be in our
yeah,
hometown, just like living my best life, like thinking,
yeah.
because I'm like, I
Yeah,
wonder if that's like the sole like reason that I think this way is because I was born
yeah,
with a disease. Like,
yeah,
so I think about that all the time too. I'm like, dang, where would my life be if
yeah,
I wasn't born different? Like, would
yeah,
I be on
for
the
sure.
same path? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a good call out because I felt the same thing about, you know,
Yeah.
like my own situation, like not being heterosexual. It's like, okay, like, would I have been so off put by a lot of the things? I think that a lot of my morals still would have conflicted with the specific churches I had been around because I
Yeah.
still feel like it's they just keep straying more and more from Jesus's teaching and just cherry picking verses
Yeah.
to be really passionate about, and it just so happens to line up with a certain side of politics, um,
Yeah.
coincidentally. So, like, I still feel like I probably would have changed,
Yeah.
but the belief, but then I'm like, but would I have been so passionate about it? Would I have felt so
Yeah.
compelled to like like speak
Yeah.
out about this stuff? I don't know because I probably would have had like different privileges, to be
Yeah.
honest, um, without that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And like I was talking the other day, like it's crazy that being gay and being disabled in the church is like so similar, or like they treat
yeah,
you
yeah,
similarly. And I'm
yeah,
like, what is this? Like that's
like
wild to
yeah,
me. But I'm like, I know it's crazy to say, but if you understand the treatment that you get, you're just like, okay, like we'll
yeah,
pray it away. We'll pray it away, guys. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
that's not what we're
If
trying to do.
if that worked, your
Yeah.
girl would be in a lot of a different situation now.
Yeah. And
Um,
then
yeah,
also random comments like my love her to death. My grandma, um, she like will all the time be like, I prayed for you to have thick hair and now you have thick hair. And I'm like, maybe you should have prayed a little harder from my eyesight because that would be a little more helpful. But like, stuff like that, I'm like, are you okay in the
what?
head? Like,
Why is that a
are you?
concern? Are we
Yeah, I'm
really
like,
worried about
oh,
like thickness of hair? I
yeah,
mean,
I'm like,
she can
ma'am,
pray for mine too if she wants, because it's pretty thin.
I'm like, there's so many other things that I needed, but
Yeah.
okay. I guess I'll give you that one. I guess God really wanted me to have thick hair. But, like, now I laugh at it, but, like, like,
Oh,
in middle school and high school, I'm like, "Will you
that's
shut up?" Like,
well,
psycho.
okay, in middle school and high school, you're already dealing with people being obsessed with, like, aesthetics and looks and body image and whatever,
Yeah.
and being bullies because of it. You don't need your grandma to join in on the fun.
I'm like, "Man, like, what
That's
is
wild.
happening?" Yeah.
That's
So, like,
wild.
it's funny because, like, so much was, like, she's like, "Oh, that's me. I prayed for that, and I got that." And I'm like, "What are you
Yeah.
talking about?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
It's just a weird,
so
like,
if they do get a win, they're like, "Oh, this did happen. It's because
Alan went through.
I did it. Yeah, yeah." And like I'm all for manifesting good things. I jokingly
Yeah,
talk about that all the time. Like, sure,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't know that that's important on the tier list of
yeah,
things to be worried about.
yeah. So that's just, like,
Which
a
is
random example that, like,
yeah,
yeah, where
it's
their
definitely a
brains
thing.
go sometimes. Yeah, like,
Yeah,
"Alright, go off, sis."
yeah, yeah. And it yeah, and at that point you kind of think like, okay, like I don't want to sound condescending, but then you kind of start to see like, okay, this is the difference between this person and me, and this is why I'm not understanding where they're coming from because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
they do not have the same concerns, they don't have the same morals, the same
yeah.
worries
And you're like,
as
"That's
we
why I've
do.
always questioned what the hell is
Yeah.
going on around me." Yeah.
It
You're
brings
like,
up a good
"Okay."
it brings something up for me. So luckily my parents always like strayed me away from this belief. I heard it sometimes. I don't want to say it's super pressed in my church. Did you grow up worried about or hearing about the rapture? This is a really
Oh, yeah.
important one right now because we
Oh,
see
yeah.
it on social media. You did? Your church
Oh,
believed in
yeah.
that?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fun. That's
Um,
a it's a big one.
that is a big one. And it's so we were actually me and my friend, Anna, we were talking about the hell houses. Do you ever remember going to one of those? I think it was called the Judgment House as well.
Whoa, okay, I haven't, but I just you unlocked a memory. I've heard about them. I heard about them as a kid, but
Okay.
I never went to anything like that. No.
So I couldn't think of what they called it, but I was like, "Oh my god, it's I literally texted her earlier because it came to me. It was called the Judgment House, the one we went to. And if none of you know what this is the craziest thing. So they will set up a scenario. So like a big church will put this on, and it's like a play, but you walk through, and each room
Okay.
is like a different scene. So
Okay.
we went to these a few times. I was way too young to go to this, but my church would go. They loved like fear mongering, so we would go. It would be like a car accident or like some girl got kidnapped and shot one time at one of these. It was all
What?
scary. Yes. And so then you would go to hell and you would see these people in hell because they didn't get saved. And then you would go to heaven and then they would like have people repent and pray there right there at the judgment house and people would
This
get
was a
saved.
child-friendly event? Well, it's obviously not, but, like,
Chil-
children were
Children
going
would
to
go,
this.
yeah. It was like a youth
Oh
group
my
activity that
god. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so it was
The
apparently called, like, a
heck?
hell house or a judgment house, and
Talk
yeah,
about traumatizing to children.
yeah,
See, it's funny that you said that because I was gonna go on, like, a mini tangent earlier about how, like, I feel like it's really complicated for parents because in this area, like they're told like raising your kids in church is going to give them the best chance because you're setting them up with spirituality, but then that can be a double-edged sword depending on the church you choose and what their belief system is and what they're exposed to. And my whole argument was going to be like kids should not be hearing about hell and demons and like
rapture,
I still
yeah,
have like nightmares about like that stuff, right?
yeah,
Um there's ways to teach kids about Jesus that don't involve them sitting through that, right? That's traumatizing. So the
yeah,
fact that there was a freaking reenactment, like
uh,
a visual, like, oh, I'm going to put you through what this
yeah,
could look like for you when you're a
yeah,
child is crazy. That
which
should not even be allowed.
before anyone from my church comes to me, they did have an option where you could set out of the hell room, okay?
Oh, that's nice of them. How sweet. Wow.
You didn't have to go through the hell room, but,
Jeez.
yeah, like, it's kind of like
Golly.
the rapture talk, like,
Mhm.
they would just constantly talk about hell and just like you know?
Yeah, and the rapture part of why I brought that up too is because, like, I know it was a big trend recently, and there were so many people literally selling all of their things and being like, "We're gonna get raptured," and I'm like, "Okay, and if you don't, you don't have a house now." So, I don't know, like and then they didn't, and then they're like and what's irritating about it is the Bible literally says,
Yeah.
"You're not gonna know when Jesus comes back."
I saw a little or I saw a
Do y'all
girl and
read?
she said I saw a girl on
Crazy.
TikTok speaking of that, and she's like, "I used to wake up every day and be like, the rapture is gonna be today because I had so much trauma that I was
Oh
gonna
my
get
god.
raptured randomly." And she's like, "Because the Bible says no one knows the day, I would get up and save the world, so you're
That's
welcome."
how she interpreted it. Oh my god.
She was joking, but she was just like, "Yeah,
That's
you're
funny.
welcome."
Well, that's hilarious, and, like, genuinely, if you have OCD, these kinds of environments are, like, horrible to be raised in. I don't know if you've seen the TikToks about, like, I don't know, like, people praying, like, "Oh, please let this thing happen, but don't let it be, because of, like, so and so dying, and don't make it my fault that they're dying," and, like, it's like this chain but that's how bad
Yeah,
my OCD was. Like, we could
yeah,
definitely talk about that because it was like I had the thing where my brain would be like and this is, like, more mental illness, but it definitely, I think, came from the religious trauma. I would, like, put a milk carton away, and then when I walk away from the fridge, my brain would be like, "If you don't go back and turn that milk carton a certain way, so and so is gonna die, and it's gonna be your fault," and
oh my god.
I'm like, "Wow, that's a lot of power. Okay, I'll go turn the milk carton so I don't worry about it for the rest of the freaking day." So then I would have to have the compulsion part of OCD and go back and like turn the milk
Yeah.
carton to make it shut up. And I went through that for a really long time, but a lot of it came from like and you talked earlier actually about something that I think is worth mentioning. You were mentioning how you um felt like the reason you were sick was because you were so mad at God and like because of what they taught you, right? Okay,
Mhm.
that's how my eating disorder developed because so I had an extreme fear of like being sick. Okay. So I thought that like I started hating food and I thought that enjoying food would make me sick because God doesn't want us to have pleasure. I know that sounds so crazy, but literally like that's how I interpreted it. And
Yeah,
like it's wild, but like it's because you introduce these ridiculous rules to children
yeah,
if the
yeah,
child is already prone to mental illness, because I think OCD is probably hereditary for me anyway, like, you know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of kids that just aren't empaths or aren't sensitive or don't have certain, like, neurodivergencies or whatever you wanna say,
yeah,
that could sit through that and, like, be disassociated and playing with their toys and never be affected, never get religious
yeah,
trauma, and that's another thing that, like, irritates me is a lot of times when you speak out about this kinda stuff, people are like, um, they're like, "Oh, well, I went to that church and don't have trauma," and it's like, "But we're different people," and it's not even I personally am not even trying to place blame on any individual person for this. I'm just saying, "This
yeah,
is my experience, like, this is how I interpreted it. This is
yeah,
what I was exposed to. This is what was told to me, and this is how I reacted to it, and the problems that it caused as I aged," you know? Like, I
yeah,
feel like, that's not the end of the world to say that. Not no pun
yeah.
intended on the rapture, but, yeah. Um,
Bring it back, bring it back.
bringing it back. But,
But yeah,
yeah.
like, um, that's like I've had, people from my church be like, I think, pretty much like they told me that they think they fucked me up because they were like, I think we're the reason you are the way you are. And I'm like, all right,
They
thank
really be saying
you.
stuff
Like,
like that to you?
yeah, like they just straight up tell me, and I'm just like, okay, that's I don't know how to
Wow.
take that, but thank you. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it's like I've been told like the most wild things. And I'm just like, all right. Don't know why you thought that was okay to tell me, but thanks.
Gosh.
Um, and then like a lot of things that I remember, like I was always prayed over
Mm.
and like anointed, and so I really wonder like how that affected me with like a bunch of men just like standing over me, like pouring oil on my head and like
Yeah, in
praying
front of
that God would
everybody?
just praying that God would just take away the demons out of me. And I'm just like, All right, this is a lot for like a 10-year-old to take in, you know? I'm like, maybe
Yeah,
that was probably not the best way to deal with that. And then
yeah,
like I remember, they would like circle our house and pray. And like again, like we said, it's not that they meant bad, like we're not blaming
yeah,
them for like,
yeah,
but like, as a child, it's like you have to understand how that affects children who, like you said, are
yes,
different and
yes,
not just like go with the
yes,
flow, like don't know what's going on. But like
yeah,
I was very aware of everything going on at the time.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
complicated because, like you just said, you have a certain level of empathy as you heal, not at first. I know you probably were as mad as like I
Yep.
was about certain things at certain
Yeah.
people, but like as you get older and you heal from it, you look and you see, oh crap, they literally are so ingrained in it themselves. They think they're doing this because they love me. Like they think they're
Yeah.
protecting me. They think they're, saving me from these scary things. I saw somebody on the podcast recently talk about that like, this person was like a pastor and he started to deconstruct, and I think he reconstructed his faith to be like a more liberal Christianity, but his dad like literally thinks he's going to go to hell. And he's like, I love my dad and I have compassion for him that it's sad that he really thinks that and that he's so scared of that.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I can't imagine as a parent being worried about that and thinking that's the reality and having to live with that. He's like, so I love my dad, but he said at the same time, I have to keep that like distance there and
Yeah.
respect with myself. That's like, I hate that you have to feel that way, dad. That
Yeah.
sucks. But I don't feel that that's my destiny. And that's not
Yeah.
how it is for my reality. I feel like I'm doing the right thing and I'm
Yeah.
following Jesus because this is how I've now interpret my theology. And at the end of the day, it should be personal. And I think
Yeah.
that's where people get so offended because if we speak out about something, it's like, that's not how it is. And they feel like they have to correct it. But it's like, you
Yeah.
can believe that for yourself and nobody's going to say anything. If you want to be that strict on yourself, if you want to
Yeah.
believe that that is the way Jesus or God wants you to live, that
Yeah.
is perfectly fine. It's the fact that you think you have to shove it onto everybody else. And like, people will try to say that about like gay people and stuff. And I just think that's so funny because I'm like, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that do. Like, there's bad people in every group. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there are for sure. But like, the like force and push to like, you have to get out there and convert people. It's like, whoa, like, no. I was taught and raised by my parents that like your life is the example. If that's what if you are a Christian genuinely, like just the way you treat people should be the example. You don't have to go out
Yeah.
and shove it down everybody's throat or like try to, be a disciple or whatever. Like they get into like these
Yeah.
like I have to convert everybody or it's on me. Like they think blood's on their hands if
Yeah.
they don't convert people. And it's like, that's not at all realistic. And it's actually going to push people away because you're coming off as kind of eh,
Crazy.
when you do that. Yeah, like
Crazy.
you do,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it really does come off as like, okay, yeah, I definitely want to be part of what this person's from.
Yeah.
You're like, what's wrong with them?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't understand that, but that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
But
And a
yeah,
lot of times I
it's
notice that they'll be like, "Well, I just worry about people going to hell," and it's like, "Are you? Or are you trying to make yourself feel
yeah,
better about
yeah,
that?" Like, you won't
yeah.
even know. If we go to hell, you won't even fucking know, so, like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there
According to the
are
Bible, you ain't even gonna remember, so you'll be okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that's what a lot of churches teach is that like, oh, you're
Yeah.
not going to know any sorrow, therefore if you're missing someone, you're not going to know it. So
I
like then
remember freaking out about that as a child. I was like, "Hold up. I don't like that. Like, that sounds scary." So
yeah, I here's my thing that conflicts with a lot of people's beliefs too. Going back, of course, to our previous conversation about spirits, is there are people that believe that they're like, oh, well, there's no more sorrow instantly, everything's fine. But then also the spirits are staying back and watching over us for a reason. They feel something if they care enough to watch over us because I've had plenty of experiences to know that they're still hanging out here, whatever that means. Whatever that means.
yeah.
Maybe they transport back and forth. I don't know, but they know we're here and they remember us. Now, whether that
Yeah.
grieves them or not or makes them sad, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just like their awareness is different. They know more than we do. So maybe they're not sad that they're separate from us or whatever. So I'm not saying it's a lie that people don't feel sadness once they've passed away. But
Yeah.
but like there's just a lot of things that like don't add up. And why it's not okay to question that is beyond me. I think there are a lot of people that still believe in it that have questions about it.
Yeah,
Like, like we just have to, like, I don't know why people get so defensive
yeah,
over like people questioning things. It's
yeah,
okay. Like we have to have conversations like that. We have
right.
to talk about nuances. Not everything is black and white.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was one of like, me and Ellie, we always, like, had weird questions because Ellie, like, one of my best friends, for those who don't know, we
yeah,
grew up in church, like, together, and we would always be the weirdos that are like, "Hey, what about this?" Like, I remember a few times they would just be like, just go straight to the pastor after church." So me and her was like, "Yo, bro, we got a question," and he's just like which he was
that's
very our
hilarious.
pastor at our church was actually very, like, understanding that me and her were weirdos and, like,
Yeah,
just always, like, had weird questions, and he was always down to try to answer them, and just like, if he didn't know, he'd straight up be like, "I don't know." And he's like,
yeah,
"You that might be a conversation you gotta have with God yourself," and we're just like, "Alright, dip." Like, but he was like, there are people like that who are just, like,
yeah,
honest, and they're just like, "That's a really
yes,
odd question that I've never even thought of." So it's like,
yeah,
you wonder how many times, like, me and you also, like, asking questions in the church made other people question things that they may have never questioned before.
oh, for
Um,
sure, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah, like
especially with
I,
my
yeah,
family, like, I had a lot of times where my aunt would be like, "What you went through made me question a lot about God," and that also made me
yeah,
feel bad, but, like, obviously she didn't mean to, but, like, I'm like,
yeah,
"No, like, I don't wanna make that happen for you as well," but, like, it's
yeah,
like it's it's good for people to think about it though, like,
for
I
sure.
guess, and question things.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, there are definitely people out there who can question it and still end up, it doesn't mean that they're, like, leaving it. Like,
Yeah,
they can end up, it's just, like, a different way of viewing it, and I think sometimes we grow up and realize that, like, you know, you just kind of, like, heard things your whole life that you didn't question, and, like,
yeah,
then you start to wonder, okay, well, where are the truths in it? Where are the lies in it?
yeah,
And you have to be the one to figure that out for yourself, which is
yeah,
hard when you're taught by these systems that, like, well, you're not supposed to question anything. And if you do, that's like blasphemy. And if you do, that's like you're not having faith and like all this stuff. It's like that's a red flag to me. Like, why can't I
yeah,
question the leader in the church or the person, whoever it is, you know what I mean, that's saying this? Like, I should be able to question a human being.
yeah,
That should be okay.
yeah,
Um, and you get into some really like murky waters if you know you
yeah,
don't question authorities. You should always question
yeah,
authorities, question the freaking government, question all of it, you know what I mean, like nobody's just blindly trusting. You shouldn't be blindly trusting anybody like
yeah,
that. You should definitely come to your own, you
yeah.
know.
And I think coming from that, like, me and you both, I've noticed, we're very feisty, with people, or we have
Yeah,
been in the past, but, like,
have needed to
you know, I
be, yeah,
yeah, and I feel like we
yeah,
we were, like, quick to, like, just, like, snap back at people who, like, even came for, like, other groups and stuff, and I think
yeah,
it gives you, like, an insight of, like, if you grew up with that kind of behavior around you, it's like you really do feel defensive for the groups that you heard them speaking
yeah,
badly of, or like, so it's like you
for
get
sure,
very defensive not only for yourself and like, you know, how you identify, but other people who you've heard them just like talk shit about pretty much. And you're just like, how dare you?
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it gives you like a weird insight into like their brain and how they think, and so
yeah,
I think that's, like, especially with what's going on, like you said, the rapture talk and stuff, it's like we
yeah,
have an understanding of, like, who they are as people,
hmm,
and then it's almost scarier because 'cause you're like, "Okay, like,
yeah,
y'all are somehow getting worse, and, like,
yeah,
more, like, severe with your tactics," and like you said, they're selling
yeah,
everything, it's like, "Oh, okay. We're just getting
yeah.
crazier out here, and that's not good."
Yeah, yeah, it's incredibly concerning for many reasons. Um, and like it's interesting because the people that are like this, that are fanatical about it, like they want everybody to like be the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's no diversity, there's no differences, there's no like, you're just weird if you're not exactly like them, which I think when you were talking earlier about how they treat, like, you know, somebody with a disability, somebody who's gay, the same, it's because you're not like them. We're not
Yeah.
like them. And
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with that. It's really
Yeah.
odd. I would love to, like, psychologically look into, like, what causes that,
Yeah.
because it's like, why since when in, any spiritual system or spiritual belief did we decide that everybody should just be like this cookie cutter version of the same thing?
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's different for a reason, and that should be celebrated, that should be good, not
Yeah.
condemned, but it's like they just think you're weird if you're not, I don't know,
Yeah. And
doing all their weird stuff
yeah.
and looking all their
One
certain ways, you know?
one really funny thing that I noticed, like, going more and more blind is, like, when I started using my cane, it was like those were usually the people that were most uncomfortable around me,
Yeah,
after knowing me for so long, but, like, my friends were just like, "Oh, girl, like, that's cool, I like your cane," like, but then it was like, I made certain people very uncomfortable, and it's almost like I feel like they don't even mean to, but they almost, like, feel like a superiority, and maybe
mm,
that's why they treat certain people differently,
yeah.
um, because I know a few times, like, I would have my cane and I'd hear people like, "Oh, oh," I'm just like, "Shut the fuck up," like, I'm just like, "Okay, like, it's not a big deal,"
Y
like, it's just like,
yeah, it
you
and,
don't
like
have to be a weirdo about it.
drawing attention, like,
Yeah, and I
the people don't understand that that just makes I would think it would make me feel worse, like, don't
yeah.
act like you know what I mean? Like, just hush, treat me
Well, and
normal.
I feel like to a lot of people, it's like they, I don't do, like I'm not disabled for attention, trust me, like, but I
I
feel
chose
like,
this life.
a lot of, and I don't want to say this and like sound mean, but like a lot of church activities are very performative.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so maybe, like they want to draw attention and be like, "This poor, pitiful girl," like, it's kind of like that vibe, and you're just like, "Hey, like, I'm doing okay," like, even
yeah,
now, it's like, I have family members reach out and be like, "I'm still praying for you." I'm like, "Cool, thanks," like, I'm doing pretty great in Lexington, like, I'm doing
yeah,
great at my job, like, "But thank you."
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so it's like, sometimes it's very performative of, like, trying to draw attention to me and be like, "Look at this poor disabled girl," but then sometimes it's like, "Well, look what she's doing, and that's all because of God," and I'm like, "I don't claim that, but thank you." Like, it's like they try to play both sides, and it's like they
yeah,
can't even pick which side they're on
yeah,
for me, and they just have so many assumptions. So, like, I feel like it's the same for any group that they kind of deem lesser than, like, they always have
yeah,
an excuse, like, well, they're doing better because they're gonna go to hell when they die, or they're doing better
yeah,
because,
yeah,
they have God in them. God's actually working through them, it's
yeah,
like, which one is
yeah.
it? Like, what is happening here?
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. I'm glad that you pointed that out because it gets really confusing too, especially coming out of it, because it's like, you're just fear mongered so much. Like,
Yeah,
there's so much fear, and like, you got to think if religion, like, if, okay, you're supposed to have a relationship with God or Christ, whichever, both, whatever we want to look at it. A relationship that is fueled by fear is never healthy and it's never going to work. So if you're just constantly scaring people
yeah,
into believing a certain way, that is not authentic. And to me,
yeah,
if you're not authentically believing in it, then you might as well not believe in it at all. If you're just doing it because you're like, well, if I don't, this awful thing's going to happen to my soul. It's not like the genuine love. And there are people that are in it for the, like, they genuinely feel like a
yeah,
connection spiritually, and that's great. But like, if your preaching is focused on fear and those kinds of tactics, then who are you really winning? You know, they wanna
Yeah.
say, "Oh, we won all these souls, or this person got saved." Yeah, well, probably because you scared the crap out of them. Like, if you don't do this, you're gonna burn forever. And here's this
Yeah,
story about this guy on his deathbed that I heard screaming about hell because like I've heard these stories before in churches.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like, that'll be you if you don't do what I'm asking you to
yeah,
do. Like, of course, people that even have a slight fear that that might be true are gonna be like, yeah, I should probably do this just in case. I'm gonna cover my butt.
yeah,
Um, instead of like focusing, there are a lot of churches that do, and it's really cool. Like that
yeah,
one local one I was talking about focuses more on like how do we help the community? How do we be better people? How do we elevate
yeah,
society? How do we stop the evil stuff that's happening to other people? That's
yeah,
what church should be. But I think we have that Appalachian experience where like in the Bible Belt, let's just be real, it's everywhere. It is
yeah,
everywhere. The
yeah,
bad is, but in the Bible Belt, it is normalized almost.
yeah,
At least like there I think in other places, like if you have a dud of a church that believes these kinds of bad things, it's like, okay, well that one's bad. But like
yeah,
I don't even know that a lot of them realize they're being bad around here. Or
that
that
yeah,
people as a whole, like people just accept it. It just
yeah,
is. Um and it's weird dynamic to think about. Like, if I think about, like, going to church as a kid, hearing all these horrible demonic stories about demons and hell and all this stuff, and then you just go to KFC after and hang out with the
yeah.
fam. Like, I'm gonna get my Kentucky Fried Chicken and listen to my Christian rock music, and yeah, I'm balling over here. Like,
But it
what?
sounds like me and
It's
you were,
crazy.
like, kind of in our own heads about everything they said, and you're just like, "How do I
Yeah,
come back from that?" Like,
yeah,
how do I go on with my life eating chicken
yeah,
and, like, having fun? Because
yeah. It's
that was a
like,
lot,
and
that was a lot
it's
to take
all
in.
it all like roots itself in your subconscious as that
Yeah,
continues. Um, and so then as an adult, you're having like these weird nightmares, even when you feel like you've healed from it for the most part.
yeah,
Um, and then when I hear people that I know now that I have a lot of respect for that are like really cool people, like having positive experiences with church, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
that could have been a thing.
That was an option?
That's cool. And they're like
Excuse me,
really
guys.
cool people. Like you were talking about like the good Christians and stuff. And
Oh,
it's like, um, yeah, I don't know.
one of
Um,
one of
Snow
my,
Salt, you're right about me. Somebody said that we exude lesbian energy. So sorry, Alyssa.
I've been told that, it's fine. It's fine. I accept that. I like that, thank you,
It's not
actually.
the worst insult in the world, right?
Yeah, right, I'm actually like, "No, please think that." I'm not
Please
been in
think
the
that.
same boat for 3 years. Ew, man.
That is that's hilarious. I love that. Well, I'm glad that I'm exuding that energy since that's what I am.
Oh my
Good to
god.
know I'm on brand.
But one of my favorite comments, when I went to massage school was actually one of we called her I called her anyway, I nicknamed her, I'm like the Southern mama of the group because she was, like, in her 40s, and she was so sweet, and she had, like, the thickest Southern accent, and, like, the sweetest lady you would ever meet. So she was very Christian, and so one
Yeah,
of the gifts I got her was, like, a learning Bible or what it's called a study Bible, so it had,
yeah.
like, little notes and stuff, and she was like, "Thank you for, respecting that I'm Christian even though you've had a really bad experience." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah, that's how it works," because
that's
like,
sweet. Yeah,
I've been told by people, they're like, "You don't respect our religion, so why should I respect you?" And I'm like, "Well, that's why I don't respect your religion
but
because you don't
but
respect
you
other people." So, like,
yeah,
when you do
yeah.
exude that, I respect it,
Yes.
like,
I've
yeah,
done the same thing. I've definitely gotten, like, spiritual religious gifts for people that I know
yeah,
that they're, like, very kind and genuine, and that also I know
yeah,
that God means a lot to them. I'll get them that like, I don't care that, like, I have trauma from it because they are doing it the right way. Like, they're
yeah,
doing what they should be doing, which is, like, loving people, being kind.
yeah,
Keeping their business, like, not trying to get in everybody's business and be hateful and judgmental or whatever. So, like, yeah, like,
yeah,
I think that's important too for us. I think it's healthy for
yeah,
us to be like that because it feels all equally wrong to just dismiss every single person that believes in it, every single, you know what I mean? Like wasn't feeling good with that either. And like I said, it was tempting for a while because it's just like you're we get into the therapizing, but like I have participated in something called internal family systems therapy, which essentially I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but you like acknowledge that there are different parts that are in your mind still. So your 7-year old part that got bullied by a girl on the playground, like she still lives in there somewhere. Like she can get triggered. Like something could happen that could like reawaken that, even if you think you're completely moved on from it, right?
Yeah.
Um, I love that therapy. It like has helped me a lot. And like I guess if I cut off all those past parts of myself completely and don't acknowledge them and don't acknowledge like that in other people, like those parts in other people, like I just it gets detrimental for your mental health. You think you're fine and really you're like suppressing like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't know. I think it's healthy to like not do the same thing, but vice versa, like we talked about earlier, like the extremism backwards, like I definitely don't want to be the person that's like, I hate all religions or whatever. Like I don't
Yeah.
ever want to be that person.
Yeah.
And a lot of the negative that we do have experienced and that we see about it online and stuff, like it's like I always have to remind myself, like, this is just a portion of the population.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably not even the majority. It just gets the loudest. They
Yeah.
get the most voice for whatever reason because they're always ready to run their mouth, I guess. I guess that's why. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And
But
rage bait, baby.
oh
That's the
yeah.
thing now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen a lot of that,
Yeah.
which speaking of, I just want to give a quick shout out to my mod, Blade of Sun 95. He has been working overtime. And I just want to say I appreciate it because it's helped me focus on the conversation because otherwise I would be like getting rid of all these people. Um, because there was a lot. Also, my friend Michael is in the chat, and I just want to say hello because I know we have had conversations about what we're talking about right now. So I appreciate you stopping by, and it's nice to see real people in the chat. Um, but yeah, I just had to like quickly acknowledge that. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, man, it's a heavy one, religious trauma, and it's like God, it's so like you said, you get so much rage bait from it. Like
Yeah.
people get and I know a lot of it's just automated trolls to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like they're like literally designed to look for this stuff and just spam it. But like at the same time, it's like, why is this should not be such a difficult conversation. Like
Yeah.
it should be something that like we all talk about religious, non-religious, whatever. Like why can't we all just come together and be like, hey, it's really messed up that this thing happens and this
Yeah.
sector, and also that doesn't mean all of it's bad. Like,
Yeah.
how is that a hot take? How is that? It just blows my mind that that's so
And
fanatical and
like
crazy to say.
there's so many subsectors of like Christianity. And then on top of that, it's like
Mhm.
there's so many religions in the world. And
Yeah,
it's funny because again, at such a young age, I remember thinking like, but only one is right? That makes no sense.
exactly.
Like, and like I've always really had that in the back of my mind, even if I wasn't like able to verbally try to ask that question, or like just got
Yeah,
like told like, oh, just shut up and believe, like, but like I was always so confused about that. I'm like, that don't sound right. Or then I'd be like,
yeah.
what if somebody hasn't heard about Jesus? That's fucked up. That's
Yes,
go
I
to
always
hell
thought
just
that
'cause they
too.
don't know. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I feel like it's weird that even like after all these years, it's like we're still just like fighting over who has the right religion. And then my
yeah.
favorite South Park episode, one of them is like all the people are in hell. And I forget which religion they said was right, but like somebody calls out, they're like, "Oh, actually, like Judaism was right," and they're just like, "Damn it," like, but like,
That's
I'm just like,
hilarious.
that's what
Darn
I
it.
pictured when I was younger because I'm just like,
That
yeah, like
that's
what's
part of
happening?
why that's part of why I don't want to label on it because I'm like, if I don't label it, then I can't be wrong. Because my religious trauma is like, what if you get to the end of your life and this, and this, and it's like, well, if I don't choose the wrong thing, then I can't be wrong about it. There we go.
No, Noelle said, "I
Mm.
found the loop,
Yeah, I found the
the
loophole.
loophole." Yeah.
It's the loophole.
Oh my
Thank you,
god.
Michael, for the condolences and compliments on us how we're handling the comment section. Oh, man. Yeah,
What
that's
what they don't
wild.
know is I can't see the comment section. Sorry, Noelle.
It's okay, Alyssa, I'll take the weight of this of this for you, don't worry, I got you.
These are the
I
moments that
got
I
you.
enjoy being blind.
Well, it was definitely distracting at points, but sometimes, Blade of Sun got to it so fast that I didn't even see the bad comments, which was cool. Um, but yeah, I get some weird stuff. It wasn't even all religious related either, just as an FYI. It was just, like, highly inappropriate a lot of the times. Um, like, I don't know how the it didn't just get, like, instantly banned anyway.
Um,
Um, yeah. Uh, somebody did just say that we're both adorable. So thank
Hey,
you, Cynthia. I
thank
appreciate that. We
you.
needed the positivity. Thank you very
We're
much.
adorable lesbians, actually.
Yeah. Alyssa just accidentally came out to herself and to everyone here.
I was outed in the comment
Yeah,
section.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god. I'll have to tell Dan when he gets home, tell him to practice
I have
that
to tell my
out
boyfriend I'm a
again.
lesbian.
I have to tell my boyfriend. Oh my god.
That
He'd
is
be like,
so
"I am not
funny.
shocked."
Yeah, he'd probably be like, "Well, honey,
Alright.
whatever you like."
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh, jeez. That's so funny. Man. This has been a good what, this is 76 minutes of just pure us bouncing off of each other. No outline, nothing.
Hell yeah.
That's how much we have to say about this topic.
I know, I'm like, I feel like we could just like
Mm.
I have so many weird, funny stories about and I'm just like, we could go all day one
Oh,
day.
yeah, that's why in the thumbnail I called this episode 1 because 'cause I'm sure there'll be another one of
Yeah. Ellie
religious drama, honestly.
Ellie also does want to, do one of these with us. She was
Oh
like,
my god, that would be
"You guys are
awesome.
talking about that?" Yeah, she was like, "I wanna be there."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay." I was like, "One day we'll plan and me and her will, like, be in the same spot. We'll get in here
Yeah,
together."
absolutely. Oh my god, I would love that. Yeah, literally anytime. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, people are asking, what the topic was. They're coming in late. Religious trauma,
So
and
fun.
I'm sure Alyssa, these upload right after they end. So if you missed the beginning, you are definitely more than welcome to go back and rewatch. We've talked about quite a few stories, quite a few stories. I feel like I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know I've done this very improv. I think like I kind of talked to you about this offline, but one thing I did want to kind of mention is like how hard it is to talk about this because I always feel like I'm going to offend somebody that like taught me a
Yeah,
certain thing or said a certain thing or believes a certain way. And if it ever got back to them and like that's not all what I want to do. And I feel like a lot of times people frame like if you speak out about this stuff, they frame it as an attack on the church or an attack on, religion or whatever, when it's like really it's
yeah,
like, no, I just need to talk about this messed up interpretation that my brain has of this. Like this
yeah,
is like and I don't know. But like I really battle with myself when I make like because I do the Toasting Orcs Talking Mental Health thing where I play Spyro and talk about, this stuff. And I have talked about religious trauma a
yeah,
few times now. And it's like, I'm glad I do it because there's so many comments of people saying that it helps them and they're glad I spoke out about it. But then I'm always like overthinking like what I said and like, well, is somebody gonna know that like this thing they said to me traumatized me? And I'm just trying to talk about it. I'm not trying to like dox anybody. But the reason I bring that up is because I think it's funny that, like, we were hurt by these things,
yeah,
yet I'm still worried about hurting other people whose beliefs hurt me, like, that's
yeah,
crazy that, like, I care so much and I'm so empathetic that I'm like, I can't even take care of myself without worrying about hurting somebody else. That's
yeah,
crazy, like, but that is the reality, and that's why I've pushed myself to do it anyway. Because it's like, I'm just stating facts and
yeah,
experiences. And like if like it's really not meant to be like this person is flawed and messed me up or this person, it's just yeah. Um you touched on hypocrisy earlier and I did kind of want to touch on this. This is like a little deep. Also Cynthia, yeah, we all have that apparently. I'm thank you for being here and commenting and like being one of the first non-trolls to be in the chat.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being normal.
Thank you for having a conversation with us and being kind. Oh my gosh. Really appreciate you. But so one thing, I'm going to be careful about how I word this because it's really vulnerable and I probably wouldn't normally talk about it live. But I just want to say that a certain experience I had that was traumatic as a kid, the person who harmed me, I'm just going to say it like that. Okay. Everybody can probably insinuate what I'm talking about. If you were to look at their Facebook, his Facebook, I'll say, I'll just give the gender. I mean, God, Christianity, the church, whatever. And the dude is like a danger to society, to
Yeah.
children. And it's like, that's another thing that really like got me and really brought anger out in me when I started deconstructing because I found that out and I realized that and I'm like, you mean to tell me and the same person hating on people like me, like gay people. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you are an I don't want to say that I don't want to get censored, but you harm little people and
Yeah.
you have like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't it's crazy to me. So that really opened my eyes and made me realize like this isn't that's not a relationship with God. That is a
Yeah.
cult and that is a like wolf in sheep's clothing type
Yeah.
of bull crap. The people that are hating on us are like the biggest snakes, right? And that really was a big eye opener for me. Um
And people will
yeah.
defend him over defending you solely because you're gay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because now
They can
because
use
he
that
was
example like, "Oh, she's departed from the
and he
church," and
he's
yeah.
gotten saved. He's gotten saved. Jesus
Mhm.
forgave him. And
So
it's
it's
like,
all in the past now, yeah.
yeah, no,
Even though I
that
know it's being repeated because I've heard of stories of, like,
yeah,
other problematic
yeah.
issues with this person as
Well,
an adult, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why,
Um
like, when people, like, talk about that being in churches so often, that's
mhm,
why, because they
yes.
can
They
get
get that
away
clean
with it
slate.
over and over
Yep.
again, because all they have
Yep.
to do is pray over it and be like,
Yes.
"Oh, yeah, no, I'm good," and it's like,
Yes.
"What?" Yeah,
Which is crazy, and that's, like, an excuse that they'll use about, gay people is to be like, "Well, you're choosing to do that to live that
yeah,
personality, that's why your sin's so much worse." I've
yeah,
literally heard people, like, in podcasts and stuff say that they think it's better for you to murder because you can repent from that than to be gay because it's a lifestyle choice.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like, same thing with, like, the creeps, I'm gonna call them the
yeah,
creeps, okay? Like, technically, I guess the last time he did it could be the last, so they'll forgive him, but, like
yeah,
and it
yeah,
never is the
till he
last,
does it
first of all,
again, yeah,
because he never has to face any
yeah,
repercussions for it
there's like
or, like,
he gets
get
away with it.
treatment for whatever's wrong with him to make him do
Yeah,
that, like, because they don't believe in any of that stuff.
yeah.
Also, one of my favorite people is here. Hi, Ms. H. I just saw that you were in the chat. Another real person, thank God. Yeah, we're, like we got a little bit of a deepness there. We also keep getting insulted, and Blade of Sun is here to to manage
Blade of the
that.
Sun, thank you.
There was actually someone earlier, Alyssa, that asked us if we brush our teeth, and I'm like, "This is a yellow light, I'm sorry." And I've had 2 root canals, so I'm a little offended,
We
like, I took
don't,
that a
we're from
little
Kentucky, alright?
yeah, 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 me smiling right now, if I didn't have 20 crowns, I would be a stereotype. But you know what? Screw y'all.
We're straight from Kentucky, y'all, we ain't
Yeah.
Indiana
I can't
around
use teeth
here.
whitener because I have so many fillings. Did you know that porcelain doesn't whiten? Fun fact. So if you have crowns or porcelain teeth, you can't use teeth whitener. So, like,
Huh,
sorry, I drank sweet tea my whole teenage life. I don't know
yeah,
what you want from me,
I'm over here
troll.
with my coffee, I'm like, "I have a coffee addiction." So, we
Coffee,
start
coffee, tea, all of
yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah,
there we go.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's wild.
oh gosh, I was gonna add something to what you said earlier. I cannot remember now. I feel like we've, like, jumped around random stuff.
We really have. I'm like I'm like, "Oh, by the way, speaking of, I got
Oh
another one
my
for you."
god. Okay, I have to tell you this one because it happened today.
Oh, yes, please.
One of my family members, I
Oh,
like I said, I've tried, I've done better the last so many years. And so I call some of my family members and I check up on them and I was talking to this particular family member, and I was talking about having a surgery next year, like open heart surgery, you know? Somehow she starts talking about my cousin who came out as gay and like relating it to each other. And she's like, yeah, her grandma worries about her too. And I was like,
Stop.
I was like, I think she's okay. I think she's fine. I think she's doing good. What? And I just like
I'm
kind of, I was like, where are we going with this? And she's like, yeah, her
wow.
grandma worries about her going down. And I was
Heart
like,
surgery and
yeah,
homosexuality
like,
in the
huh?
same level of concern
I had no
category
idea.
is
Yeah.
crazy.
So then I was like, yeah, and I was like, well, that's like overeating, you know? That's that's in the
You
Bible,
did
you
not.
shouldn't do that. And I was and I was like, yeah, and being judgmental. Like, everybody's got their favorite sin. And my dad was cracking up after because I always tell
That
my dad, I'm like,
deserves
look, I'm
that
like,
deserves
listen,
an
look here.
applause. That deserves an applause, Alyssa. That's
Oh my
brilliant.
god. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
always just
gosh.
like say random stuff like that. I'm like, yeah,
That's
just like
funny.
being judgy.
Yeah,
Like everybody got their favorite sin, I guess, girl.
get that plank out of your own eye before you start beating other people with a stick.
Oh
That's
my
not how it
god.
says it, but I
Yeah.
like to reword it. Um, I think that's better. Also, I'm laughing because Cynthia said I'm here for super ADHD coded combos, and I just recently found out that I probably have ADHD.
Hey.
So I feel validated.
Shout out.
Oh my gosh. And yes, most of those people are probably bots. Blade of
Yeah.
Sunset, and I was going to confirm that, Michael. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's definitely a thing. Alyssa says she brings them in. I can confirm this because I've been in her chats before, and I'm like, who are these people?
I
They'll
don't
just
know, man.
they don't care. They'll just be like, yeah. I've been in your chat before and they're like, "Girl, are you
No.
single?" I'm like, "Oh my god, like leave her alone."
And then
Like,
it'll change real
jeez.
fast to be like, yeah, you're too ugly anyway. I'm like,
Yeah,
chill,
that's what this
chill,
has been. It's
chill.
like, yeah, somebody
Oh,
earlier
you're
was like
ignoring me. I'm like, bitch, I'm blind. Chill, all right.
someone earlier was like, "The red one looks angry."
Not
I'm
God,
sorry.
bro.
I'm laughing.
No.
I'm It's so hard not to, like, cackle. The red one looks angry.
Listen,
Like, I'm not that mad. I'm just talking. Oh god.
that's why I love hate comments sometimes though, because I'm like, that's low key fun. Like, you know, I'm like,
It's
that's
so
you're
funny.
honestly right.
Sometimes I wonder if they are just, like, they don't even mean it. They're just like, "I'm gonna just pester these people."
Yes.
Like, "I'm gonna pretend to be a troll." There's so many people pretending to be trolls that we think they're real trolls, and yeah,
Yeah.
anyway. Also, I love that people are laughing. Ms. A just cracking up about, the favorite sin comment, and then Cynthia goes, "Bitch, I'm blind."
See, this is
This is the audience we needed the whole time, guys. Thank
where was
you.
this
I
energy
feel so
go?
much better. I was like storytelling, and I just constantly saw Blade of like Blade of Sun delete his message. Blade of Sun times someone else. Blade of Sun banned someone. I'm like, oh my god, what is being said?
No, I was like, I'm scared.
Like, I'm kind of terrified. Gaming streams are not like this,
Oh
bro.
my
They're really
god.
not. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
probably are if you get so big, but they haven't been for
yeah.
me. So I'm like, what the
This is
heck, bro?
Noel's
People just
biggest fear, y'all.
this is so scary. Yeah, I'm gonna have anxiety dreams about it tonight. My dream's gonna be like,
No.
somebody left a comment.
Oh my god.
Ugly, ugly, angry red lesbian.
No, they just
Not the
said you
red
look angry.
lesbians. Oh, they said they definitely made some comments about my looks earlier. It's okay though. We're fine. We're fine. I know I'm a babe. It's cool.
I I forget
Um,
one of the comments. Oh, I think it was just like, "Why your eyes look like that?" I was like, "I okay, that's fair, guys. That's fucking
oh
fair."
my god, that's so crazy. People are wild, dude.
Oh
I
my
used to
god,
think that
yeah.
like that kind of stuff didn't happen until you had like 50,000 viewers or something, and it's
No.
like there's like 10 people here, and it's like,
Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, does YouTube and, TikTok try to, like, wean out the weak? So, like, once you hit so big, they're like,
yeah,
"Let's just spam them with crazy troll comments
that's
just to see if they'll quit."
see if they'll make it.
See if they're thick-skinned enough for this.
Yeah, for real. I'm dying. Also, Ms. H, thank you so much. She said green and red queens. See,
Hey.
that, like, completely removes all the negativity that happened earlier. It's gone now. I feel
Yeah,
great. I'm happy now.
yeah.
That's all I need. That's all I needed. That's all the validation I needed.
We need a Christmas collab, Noelle. We gotta figure out our Christmas
We
collab that
do
we're
need,
gonna
yeah,
do.
what Christmas topic do we have? So far, we have covered ghost stories. Not this time, but last time. So definitely check out Alyssa's channel if you guys want to see that, because we did stream from her channel about ghost stories, which is really interesting. I find that stuff so interesting personally.
I love
But
it.
um religious trauma this time. Uh, what do we do for Christmas, guys?
Yeah. Give us some
Mhm.
ideas.
Give us some ideas for a
Give us
Christmas
some ideas.
stream. Michael, thank you for stopping by. I'm glad that the food is calling you. I wish the food was calling me. I don't know what I'm gonna have for dinner. Um, yeah. But thank you for stopping by. Oh, Appalachian Christmas traditions. That's a good one.
Ooh,
That's a
yeah.
good one. I
I
like
dig
that.
that. We
We'll have to
both
make a list and
agree.
see what what we do. Even if
Yeah,
we don't do it, it would be a cool thing to research, to be honest, and
yeah,
educate about. I personally am like obsessed with Appalachia and like Appalachian culture and history. I kind of love it. Kind
yeah.
of, it's
It's
dorky
funny,
of me, but
but I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like, yes, like let me research my culture. But when
yeah.
I was younger, I'm just like, oh, get me out
Oh
of
yeah,
here.
I didn't care. It's like now that I'm elderly,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
what about my ancestors?
Let me walk barefoot in the woods, please.
Yeah, seriously. I'm laughing because Cynthia said religious trauma is a great Christmas topic.
Oh my god. Our Christmas
We'll
religious
throw it in there.
trauma.
Yeah. How we don't go on tangents at Christmas dinners. uh,
Yeah. Thankfully, I
yeah,
have enough, like, we have the gym moments from The Office, like, me and my dad and, like,
that's
some of my
beautiful.
uncles. Yeah, like,
That's so funny.
something gets said, and we're just like,
I really like with the ones
okay.
that I go to don't have too much I have to deal with either, admittedly. Thankfully. Um, so we are from Alyssa. I will like. I'm not gonna say the city because I'm scared of people, but I'll broadly say I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Me and
Yep.
Alyssa are both from Eastern Kentucky. Yeah, yeah. From the mountains in Eastern
Right.
Kentucky. Yeah, yeah. You can probably tell because my eyes sound like ah. So like if I say 5, I say 5, like that. Yeah, and, like, I have no control over it, it just is.
I
But
always joke when I
I
get
love
drunk,
accents.
that's when it comes out for me really bad. When I start
Really?
drinking, I'm like, "Hey, what's that? Yeah." They're like, "Why are you talking like that?" Like,
See, the equivalent of that for me, since I don't drink, is when I talk to my papaw. I don't know
that's
why, but when I talk to my
yes,
papaw, I'm just, like, full on cornbread, like, I
yes.
can't
Yeah.
that's it.
When I go, because I moved a few hours away from, like, our hometown. So, yeah, when I go back to our hometown and and I'm, like, talking to my family, and then I come back to the city, the big old city. It's not a big city,
The
but
big city.
when I come
It
to the
is
big
to us, though. Yeah.
city, I notice that I'll be talking to people and they're like, "Why are you talking?" Like, especially Dan. Dan makes fun of me if I spend time with my family for too long.
He's
I'm just
like, "You
like, "I
come back
can't help
talking
it."
different." Why are you talking like that? I know, I have, like, workplace voice,
Yeah,
which sometimes transfers to YouTube. It depends on what game I'm playing, I've noticed, because my accent will definitely come out if I'm being casual on YouTube, but if I'm, like,
yeah,
really focused, I'm, like, formal. It's
yeah.
funny, it's weird. I'm like, why do I switch up like that?" Also, thank you, Crystal, for the I don't know what these points are that people send, but I've seen a few of them pop up, and I appreciate
I've
that. Is
sent
that
you
like a
points
boost or
before.
something?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
awkward
on
when I
you have them on TikTok, right? I've seen you
don't.
get those on TikTok, or
Well,
is it
so like
similar?
I've gone to I don't know what it means on here. So I've
Okay.
gone to your videos before and it's like send Noelle a boost. And I do that and
Oh,
I'm like, I don't know. where this is
Well,
coming from or
that's
what
cool.
this is. Yeah, but I'm always like,
Okay.
"Yeah, sure."
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
the hype points. Maybe this is like a stream version of that. I don't know.
maybe.
Anyway, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
If you know,
That's
explain to
awesome.
us because 'cause I've seen
Yeah,
that
if
and
you
I'm
know
like,
what
"Oh,
you just
yeah."
did, please tell me because I think it like helps the stream maybe. I don't know. That's cool. Anyway, thank
Yeah.
you. Um, yeah, I it's funny. Here's my thing with doing a themed anything. I do this especially with live streams is I'm like if I don't have anything else to talk about with that topic, I'm like, do I am I allowed to talk about something else? That's my OCD. Like, oh, I talked about swimming pools in my religious trauma video. Now what?
Listen, they do that in podcasts, you know?
That's
Go off
true.
on,
They'll
like,
talk
random
about like,
tangents.
I went to the grocery store this morning and yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta have
yeah.
some like normalcy to break up the heaviness
I was going to say,
in
especially
the
a heavy
middle.
topic, you know, we could end on,
Yeah.
like, a fun, like, goofy goofs
Yeah.
and gaps, no?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, no. I did think of one thing, because I was thinking, like, maybe just telling, like, random stories at this point would be cool before
Yeah,
we go. Um, I feel like so a lot of the stuff I, like, talked about in this stream was, like, childhood and childhood church and just things I, like, really internalized really badly that, like, just little kid ears, in my opinion, just shouldn't have heard, stuff that came from church, whatever. But I was older, I went to a different church when like, after Johnny died. So, because they invited me because it was, like, a youth group and it was more a little bit more modern, whatever.
mhm,
I was so old at that point that I could only go there for, like, a year because once you turn 18, you can't be in youth group anymore. So when I dipped out of that, um, they offered for me to stay and be, like, a youth assistant. And I was like,
yeah,
"Okay, cool, whatever, I'll do that. That'll be, like, volunteer hours while I'm in college, whatever." So I started college and, like, I did that, but when I went to go sign the paperwork, it literally had a clause in there about my social media account. Like, it pretty much without saying it said, "Don't post anything that's not Republican." Like, "Don't post anything liberal," because it literally like, the way it worded it
oh
was
my
like,
god.
"Don't post anything that wouldn't align with our values and beliefs and the church's values and beliefs and wouldn't represent God," and it's like, that could be different depending on who you're talking to. Like,
Yeah,
you know, posting, like, the F bomb saying you're gonna hurt someone could be not Christ-like to most people, but, like,
yeah,
me just existing as, like, a person and being like, "Oh, cool. Gay marriage is a thing now, yay," could count just the same to them. So I was
yeah,
like, "That's weird," but I was, like, way more passive back then than I am now, so I, like, signed it, and then once I, like, finally come to terms with everything, I was like, "I'm gonna quit before I publicly come out because if not, I'm going to get let go and it's going to be an awkward conversation." So I just dipped from it. But that is a thing that happened. Yeah, we did talk about that Blaves, and I think I talked about it on the video that I did with you about religious trauma. So yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. I don't know. Oh, I think you're frozen, Alyssa. Can anybody hear me? I think I may have lost her. Yeah, I don't know if she knows that I know that she's not here. Give me a second, guys. Let me see if I can message her. Open up the laptop. This is crazy. Live streaming from my phone is so weird, guys. My gamer people. Okay, you're back. I was literally
okay.
about to open my computer and message you. I was like, "Oh, no, she knows she's gone until I don't respond to her." She's probably like, "Why is this girl ignoring
No,
me?"
you froze, and I was like, "You froze," and then I was like, "Ah."
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
we're
Okay, well,
good.
hopefully it was just an internet thing where it seems like
Yeah,
we're back. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so funny. I was literally just going on a tangent about how, like, weird it is and casual to be on my phone. I feel like, "What?" Like, it feels like I'm, like, FaceTiming somebody, but no.
Right.
I'm on YouTube right now.
But
What?
you're getting
Crazy.
crazy comments while we're
Yeah,
FaceTiming.
getting insulted on YouTube, it's great. Um, yeah, that was a funny story I had. I kind of wonder this kind of teeters more into, like, just general mental health, but I feel like we could talk about it. I'm burning up, by the way, it's so hot in here.
I
Um,
know, I'm sitting in, like, my little laundry room, and I've had my, dryer going, so I'm like, "Holy shit."
I think after I like ask this question, I'm going to like get up real quick while you're talking and turn the
Okay.
heat down a little bit. But
Okay.
so did you did you ever feel like you struggled with boundaries as an adult? And if so, did you feel like do you feel like that being raised in religion made you like feel like you had to say yes to everybody or you had to make everybody feel comfortable around you? Because I feel like some of the stuff you've said, I feel like you've definitely had to deal with the like making other people comfortable about
Yeah.
your own stuff. But like,
Yeah.
have you experienced that? Do you have any stories about it or how do you feel like it's affected you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go turn the heat down. I will be right back.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of like specific examples. Um, I know I used to have really bad boundaries, especially with like certain family members. With like, them being like, "Oh, just come to church and stuff." And finally, I feel like once I just hit a point where I couldn't, like we talked about earlier, like we both had to go through a phase where we're just like, ew, everything religious, like we have to get away from it. I feel like those boundaries were like set too firm for a bit. And I was just like, no, I don't want to. I don't like it. And then now it's like it's easier for me to say that though. Like I kind of would get nervous at first when I had to have those boundaries. And now it's a lot easier when people are like, oh, hey, like, how do you feel about this or something? I'm like, I can be honest and not have to like panic if I tell you my real thoughts and feelings on it. Um, and especially with like, I'm trying to think of like boundaries with like what people know, especially like with my health and stuff. Like when I was going through a lot of that, it was like I didn't want church people to know because I was just like very weird about them knowing everything that was going on because I didn't want it was almost like I knew it was going to be like used against me in a way. Because that was kind of like it was like manipulative in a way that like they would like gossip, but then they'd be like, "Oh, it's just because I'm worried about her," and then it would all get misconstrued. And yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's very like Southern lady, you know.
Yeah, Appalachia, South, the South, like, yeah, like, I don't know if you've
But
ever watched Andy Marie Tillman, but yeah, she's got some good skits on that exact thing. It's funny.
yeah. So, like, I feel like I started setting boundaries even when I was, like, in the church just because I hated it. I hated, like, people knowing my business, like, even from that age,
That's
I was just
good
like
though. That's good. Like,
and then, like I
you
said, I went a
have to,
little
yeah.
too hard with boundaries, and I was just like, "Ew, stay away from me." And now
Don't
I'm
talk to
like,
me.
"Alright,
Yeah,
bring it back," But, like, even,
yeah,
like, I knew their tactics, especially once I stopped going to church, like, one really hard thing was, like, Riley when she was little, one of my little cousins, like, they would send kids to go be like, "Why don't you go to church?" And, like, I would die for that child, like, that's my girl,
yeah,
and so they would send her to be like, "Why don't you wanna go to church?" And I'm like, "'Cause I just don't want to." Um, and I had to, like, they would try to guilt me and be like, "Well, she sees you not going and she doesn't wanna go." I'm like, "Okay, she doesn't want to
wow,
when she gets older," and, like, I've
that's
even told Riley
crazy.
that. I'm like, "You believe whatever you want to, girl, and, like, when you turn 18, you don't have to go anymore if you don't want to?" And, like,
Yeah,
they get so mad at me, but I'm like, I'm teaching her, like, not everybody has to be like you guys.
yeah, it's
So
her
I think for
choice.
m yeah, I think for me, like, if I didn't have, like, my little cousins, I feel like I would have probably been worse at it and just, like,
Yeah,
yeah, but seeing them, I was like, I wanna be the one to, like, set boundaries and have them see that, and even,
yeah,
like, self-deprecating, like, comments, like, they'll talk about, not being skinny and stuff, and so, like, I always wanted to
yeah.
teach her too, and it's weird that that goes hand in hand, but it's like, they
Mhm.
worry a lot about what people think of them, like, in a lot of
Yeah,
aspects, like,
yeah,
church people just, care about that, so, like, I would always try to be like, "Oh yeah, like I'm so pretty," and Riley would be like, "You're like what?" Like because I'm like she only saw like people just being like, "Ugh, I need to lose weight, I need to do this," and
So
I'm just like, "Oh
crazy
my
that people
god," like
say that in front of children.
in
Like,
front of
and that
children.
and we like, I feel like we grew up with that a lot, which, like, luckily, like, my parents weren't like that, but, like, some of their friends were, and, like,
Yeah,
it didn't necessarily directly affect me because reasons, but, like, I would see it affect friends, and,
yeah,
like, I'm like, "This is weird that, like, you don't realize saying that in front of them literally
yeah.
makes them feel like they have to worry about that." That's not.
Well, yeah,
Oh, it's so unhealthy.
and even talking crap about other people in front of them, kids are not stupid. So, like, there was one point in my family, like, in when, Riley was growing up, and one of my family members was like, "Don't say anything mean about somebody else around her," and I'm like, "I never do that," but it's funny because she tells me when other people are talking about me, so, like, that's really crazy that you guys don't have that
Wow.
boundary set in
Mhm.
front of children, and they catch on to that, they're not stupid. So, like,
Yep.
like, she'd come up to me and be like, "Can I go stay with you? I don't wanna go to church," and I'm like, "Girl, you gotta go to church." Like, we would have these
Yeah.
conversations, and she's like, "Ah," and I'm like, "'Cause you're a child." Like, I'm like, "Listen,
Yeah, like, I
I ain't gotta
can't
go." I was like, "I paid my dues, alright?" But, like, I'm
like, don't
never
make me
gonna
yeah.
and I had
Yeah.
never, like I'm sure they think I have been like, "You don't need church." Like, but I'm like, "Girl,
Yeah.
whatever makes you happy, do that,"
Yeah.
Like, I want you to enjoy it, and so, like, those boundaries, I feel like I've honestly worked on solely because of, like, those kids,
It's like a
and oh,
motivation to do it,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because 'cause I'm like, they need to learn that that's okay,
Yeah,
especially
for sure.
like, this environment, in this weird family dynamic and stuff, but,
I've
I was gonna
never sorry, my phone is dropping percent when it's plugged up, and it says that it's charging, and it's, like, not. So I'm
oh,
gonna plug it
no.
back in. Yeah, it literally dropped from, like, 22 to 16, and it was plugged up, and I'm like, "This seems concerning," but anyway, I'm messing with it, so apologies, um, for my chaos. I'm gonna, like, plug it into a different thing. Crazy. Anything that involves video just drains phones, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what that does, but now it's at 15, so I'll give a warning if it gets down to, like, 5 or something. Um, but no, I think that's great and good, and I'm glad that that she has you to look out for her because sometimes I think even if you have, like, a really healthy, like, family dynamic and stuff, like, just there are things I think as adults that we see like, "Oh, I wish somebody would have told me that," or "I wish somebody would have been there for me
Yeah,
during that," and it's really nice and honestly healing to be able to be that for other
yeah,
kids and younger people,
yeah,
um, because but then you question, like, why aren't the other adults who are even older than we are
yeah,
realizing it? And then that's
yeah,
a whole spiral for me. That's a whole
yeah,
spiral for me. I can go down a rabbit hole with that and just
yeah,
whew,
but it
um,
what I was gonna mention earlier, I just remembered, and it kind of roots with that, like, we were talking about being scared to talk about stuff online, and
yeah.
so, like, I'm pretty much like, I don't know, I don't care, you know me, I'm just like, I don't know, like, if you interpret what I say and you don't like it, I'm sorry, but, like, this is
Yeah.
my experience,
This is just what it
um,
is, yeah.
yeah, and so I started talking more about, like, my experiences and stuff, especially videos, like, during COVID times, but I think it was very healing for me to talk about, like, what I had to go through, especially, like, around high school age and, like, just experiencing, um, so many health problems on top of, like, just, all of this religious trauma and stuff, and
Yeah.
so I was actually at a family member's, like, birthday party, and a few of my cousins came up, and, like the elders in our family is just like, how, Jesus loves you. Like, they're just like, I don't know
Yeah.
why you feel that way. But like a few of my cousins came up and they were like in their 30s and they're like, hey, good for you for speaking out about this stuff that happens in our family. But they're like whispering to me and I'm like, oh.
Like
And then like
like, I
another
ain't
one
gonna
comes
do
up
it,
and
but
yes, and then another one comes up, they're like, yeah, get it, girl. And I'm like, what? Like, what is happening? I was like, y'all are
all
still
these
too scared.
secrets.
But like, yeah, I'm just like,
That's so funny.
thanks, guys. But
That's
like
hilarious.
when they did that though, I was like, okay, like they
Yeah.
need to hear that we all have experienced some weird issues.
Yeah.
Even
Like,
if
you're
you
not
think
the
you're
only
alone.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, for
Yeah.
years, I was like, "Oh, I'm the only one." Like, they're all beautiful and healthy, and, like, they've, probably not experienced these same feelings, but I'm like, "Okay, wow, they have." So it
Yeah.
was kinda, like, eye-opening to me that it's like, okay, none of us are really alone, it's just, like, this unspoken
Like the elephant
thing.
in the room.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so after that, I was like I was like, "Okay," like, I feel more confident going forward and just, like, speaking my truth about it.
I think that's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's I think, like, it's so weird for me because of it's I think it's, like, the way I view certain people that makes me feel certain ways, because with one side of the family, I had to excommunicate a good chunk of them because of the creepy one, right? So, like,
Mhm.
and that happened when I was a child, but when I got older, I was like, "What more should have been done about this? What the heck?" And then I got angry, and then I was like, "You know what? Screw all of you guys for excusing it and
Yeah,
acting like you love me when you're making excuses for him and coddling him and not making him take responsibility for it." Because I've never once gotten an apology or an he's never admitted that he
yeah,
did that. So everybody just covered it up, and I'm like, ew. So I told the whole family about it, and the good parts of the family were like, we're not having dinner together anymore. You shouldn't have to be
yeah,
around this person. And started hosting dinner. And like those people that did that for me, they have kids now. And they're like, we don't no, ew. Like we
yeah,
don't mess with creeps. Like we ain't gonna do that. So
yeah,
that was really cool. But I guess my point with that was like speaking out about those people, even though they were in my life for a long time, felt okay because it was like just so obvious to me. It was such a black and white situation. It's like, this is messed up. You don't excuse this. Y'all treated me like crap. Screw you.
yeah,
But with the other side of the family that's more religious, like I love them. They're precious, precious people. We just have like different views. And like I don't know if they
mm,
would understand that like these things have traumatized me in the way they have without like realizing that like it's not necessarily directly their fault or anything. And like I just know that they still believe a lot of the same stuff. So it's just like complicated,
yeah,
with that one, whereas, like, I can speak out about the creep all day long and be like, "Yeah, screw you," like,
yeah,
"Ew," because
yeah,
so many people, specifically girls and women, have experienced, but, like, also beyond that, but, like, heavily have experienced, like, what I have with that and don't realize like I remember growing up thinking I was a freak because I had gone through that and like didn't know anybody else that had, and then it turns out like a lot of people have, like a whole lot of people have, but like we wouldn't know that if people weren't saying it.
yeah,
So that's why I talk about it, because I'm like, this is like a thing and it happens a lot and it's traumatizing and it's hard and like it's
yeah,
ugly and we don't like to talk about it, but we need to. Somebody
yeah,
needs to, because we're not alone and we should have each other's backs and like know that
yeah,
we're support for each other, right? So it's like there's some things that I'm like really strong about and like outspoken about, and then there are other things that I'm like, well, this is more gray and it's harder for me because I don't want to hurt these people. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I don't
yeah,
care if I hurt the other people. Like, screw them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Um, so I think that's where like I get hung up.
yeah,
Also,
and
hi,
I
Gin
feel
and Juice. Hi. See you in the chat there. Religious trauma, yes. He was asking what we were talking about, but yeah, I kinda got off a
yeah.
little bit of a tangent there, but yeah.
Well, and sometimes I almost feel, like, repetitive when I talk about the
Same.
stuff that I've gone
Yeah,
okay, I was like, I feel
me
like that's
too.
because I feel like people are gonna come in and be like, "Oh my god, are you still talking about this? Like, get over it." But it's like
One of my favorite content creators talked about the same thing recently because her whole thing is religious trauma, but her big story that made her go viral is she got divorced over a Disney burger. And it's like this funny story, but it's really like sad because her husband was like very awful and abusive. But like she talks about that still, and she's like, I've told this story like 1,000 times. I heard her on your podcast, and she's like, some people are like, I've already heard this, but she's like, the way the algorithm works though, like just because you've talked about it a lot doesn't mean everybody's heard it. And
Yeah.
it's gonna reach different people every time you talk about it. So it's like okay to have some repeat like
Yeah.
conversations, you know what I mean? I'm like same. Like I feel like a broken record sometimes
Yeah.
when I talk about this stuff, but then I realize like, well, the person that's listening right now probably doesn't even know this. And then sometimes I talk about things publicly and I'm shocked that like somebody doesn't know it because I've talked about it publicly 20 times, but it
Right.
just the algorithm didn't show it to them. Like they didn't see it. And it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's okay that we if we do that. And it probably sounds more repetitive to us than it does
Yeah,
anybody
well,
else, to
yeah,
be
that's the
honest.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's like, you do want to be, like, a person people can hear that from and be like, "Oh, I've been through similar things." So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, people are gonna come in and hopefully just, like, get that message, and
Yeah.
I some people though, like, you can't help, like, I've even talked to, like, other people recently about this. It's like, if people want to take your words and take that in a bad way, they're going to no matter what. So
Yep.
it's like, you don't wanna hurt these people, but also it's like, you hope that they know that you're coming from, like, a hurt place from the past and you're
Yeah.
healing from it. So, yeah, it's like
Yes.
it's a whole cycle of, like,
Yeah.
trying to tiptoe around other people's feelings, but also
Just to talk about your
acknowledging
own.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And like a lot of the stories that I tell, I look like so hunched right now, but I'm having to hold my phone so the charger stays in.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I need to get with it. I am not a mobile live streamer, so I don't have like a phone holder or anything. It's an investment. I'll get it with the monetization money maybe. Uh but um yeah, like I definitely I guess what I was going to say is a lot of the stories I even tell, like I said, like, and I've even said this in my religious trauma recordings, like, I can't trace it back to a specific person, or it's not a
Yeah.
specific person's fault. It's just a bunch of situations and scenarios combined that kind of created it. So,
Oh,
like, I don't even feel like I shouldn't be offending anyone specific really when I talk about it because it's just a
yeah,
lot of different things that kind of led to it, you know?
yeah,
Um, but I do struggle though with that. Like I've definitely come from a people pleaser like
yeah,
background, so that's been hard to like overcome as an
yeah.
adult, you know? So, but we're getting there.
She's
We're
getting there,
getting there.
guys.
We're getting there. But, um, Alyssa, I don't know how much longer you wanna stay on, if there's anything else you wanna talk about. I figured, it's 7:30 now. I mean, we can wrap up within the next little bit if you want. I eventually need to get food.
Yeah,
I just
go
don't
eat,
know what I'm gonna
girl.
cook. I don't know what I'm gonna cook, but, do you have any, like, closing thoughts? Anything else about religious trauma? I do wanna
I'm
say to go subscribe to Alyssa if you haven't because she's really freaking cool,
I
and she makes a lot of good content, and you would enjoy her channel. Like, everybody all my friends that are here, like, this it's right up your alley. So, uh,
don't do video games, but
she does not do video games, but she
I know.
does really funny content and also, like, good call out content, and good story times. Really good story times.
Yeah, I have a weird
It's one of
life.
my favorite things. Your Uber stories are actually one of my favorite things that you tell. Like, I can't wait, like, when I see, like, another Uber story caption, I'm like, "Yes,"
Oh my
because they're so
god.
funny.
I'm like, I have so much speaking of trauma, I'm always like, I don't wanna Uber. It's like when I have to, I'm like, "God, please be a normal day."
Please just don't be weird. Yeah.
Every day, I'm like, "God, please be normal."
Yep.
But
Uh,
yes, I appreciate you bringing me on, Noelle, and I'm
of
excited.
course.
I'm sure we're gonna think of, like, so many random things after this, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to start
Yeah, oh,
writing
yeah.
it down for our next religious
Yes.
trauma video.
Yes, and start writing down Christmas stuff. I've already got
Hey.
definitely gonna do a section on Appalachian Christmas conditions?
Yeah.
Traditions. Conditions. The conditions for an Appalachian Christmas must be yeehaw, wahoo, Ewings. Ewan's over there.
Love Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Or Christmas.
Um, it's definitely on my list to do. So maybe we can just do like a video that has like different talking points. Because one of my favorite podcasts I listen to, honestly, it's called it's really small because it's actually by the woman that does Hildish, but it's her and her best friend, and it's called Overshare Hour. And it's literally just like they talk about random stuff and then they have write-ins of people asking like an advice column that's cute. But
Yeah.
anyway, they just talk about random stuff. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Appalachian Christmas traditions on the list. And if anybody else has any other suggestions, even if you don't have them now, tell me and we'll put them in because I think we should definitely do something before Christmas together,
Yeah.
Alyssa. Especially because we both have Christmas, like we have Christmas hair, which
was
somebody
like,
did point out
"Yes."
earlier. And like yeah, it was funny because I pointed it out when we were talking privately, and then somebody was like, "You guys have Christmas hair."
Like as soon as we got in here, somebody's like, "Oh my
Well, my
god,
name's Noelle, so Christmas in your face, bitch.
her name
Um,
is Noelle." That's all I think of.
You know, I didn't even hear that actually, okay, I didn't even hear that song till I was a grown adult. I don't know how I missed it in the 2000s. So
Dang.
my whole life, I felt like the only song that ever talked about me was the freaking Christmas song,
Yeah.
and then there was this whole love song punk rock, nerdy voice sounding love song about me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that would've been cool to know." Um,
That seems like your vibe.
Teenage dirtbag, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's pretty good, it's pretty good. I wish Paramore would write a song about me, but, you know, it's okay. Maybe someday. And yes, I am in Summer Forest, Joseph. Um, I just I literally I don't know why I didn't think that with a stream, like a live stream, like I needed to be prepared. I didn't have a thumbnail. I didn't have like a green screen background. So 15 minutes before we were supposed to go live, I was like, Alyssa, give me like, give me 10. I gotta make something. And it's definitely a template. I usually don't template my thumbnails, but this one is a major template. So it probably looks very corporate and boring, but
Love it.
here we are. But yes, this has been fun. We'll do it again soon. Thank you all so much for joining.
Yes.
It calmed down a lot at the end. We were like almost trolls and spam almost the whole time. And then the real people that genuinely like us came in. So thank you guys for supporting us. It was nice to meet some of you. And of course, a lot of you I know. So thank you for joining. Thank you, Alyssa, for being on the channel. And
Bye,
we'll
thank
talk soon.
you.
Bye, everybody. I don't know how to end this. Hold on.
That was me last time.
It doesn't make it easy. Is it the X? That probably would make sense. I bet
got
that's what
this.
it is.
You got
Alright,
this.
cool. Bye, everybody.